Right. So we'll start. I think the session is due to start around about now. So what I wanted to run through this afternoon really was around looking at productivity and looking at sales and focusing on sales and really trying to look at how can we leverage dynamic CRM from a sales perspective, using some of the out-of-box features, using some of the tools which were mentioned this morning to really enable increased productivity for the sales force. So most of you probably know me now. I think most people here probably stay in the CRM room, but basically a product and marketing manager for Intergen. So really look after all our partners, work with the business development managers, driving new sales opportunities and driving really the direction where we take dynamic CRM as a product, which industries and which partner add-ons we sort of utilize to maximize our customers' investment. And been doing CRM for far too many years and still look reasonably young, I think, so that's all good. Yeah. So what I'm going to focus on is some core sales outcomes, talk about some of the pain points that sales have, and then how using dynamic CRM can we alleviate some of those pain points and actually deliver quite a compelling user experience. Using a lot of what I'm going to show you is out-of-the-box type thing. I'm not really done any high configuration of the system. It's just using the tools within it to enable a better experience. And a little bit about what we're trying to work with Intergen around our sales accelerator. Okay. So when I go out and speak, I speak to a lot of customers, a lot of different scenarios, but when I'm talking to sales or marketing, then I often hear all of these sort of things being mentioned. So lost sales productivity, no single view of my customer. I've got too much information in too many places. It's in my CRM, it's in my finance tool, it's in SharePoint, it's all over the place. I've got no single place to find my information, and what's being presented to me is far too much. I don't need to see all of that information. Often I have to rekey information. For my sales manager, my regional reporting, I have to, whatever might have entered into CRM, I might have to put into spreadsheets for reporting purposes. I've got a lot of double keying of information going on. That my system's not optimized for the way I work and want to work. It's not enabling me to be more productive. Inaccurate sales forecasts, the lack of visibility into what is actually in the pipeline, what's the actual opportunities running, and what stage those opportunities at. And it's difficult to share data, not only internally but externally as well. So how can I share information with my fellow workers about the things I'm working on? I'll actually go out to those people and ask, actually, has anyone worked within this industry before, with this customer before, or know anyone within that customer, which might help me do a better job selling? And these are all the sort of things I hear with customers which may have a CRM system, but most likely don't have a very formalized CRM solution. Does that sort of resonate? Does that sort of... How many people here are actually using dynamic CRM at the moment? Quite a few. Does everyone here have a CRM system? Anyone here doesn't have a CRM system? Sorry, I should have said, shouldn't I? That was a better way of asking the question. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so hopefully these things might sort of resonate with you. And I want to just pull this one slide from the keynote, because I thought there's some really interesting points on here. How 60% of organizations seek improvements around sales and sales processes. 71% spend too much time on administration. How many times have I heard that is, all the time? Speaking to sales, I spend too much time putting information in. It's not giving me enough information out. 70% of companies are seeing an increase in sales cycle length. So how can I bring that? How can I shorten that? Or how can I identify different ways of dealing with that sort of process? And 40% of customers stop doing business because of a bad experience. All things we want to get rid of, I suppose, and actually improve on through our implementation of a CRM system. So what we want to do is obviously increase our productivity, which is, I thought, a good segue into what I actually want to present today. So we want to decrease the time through connected stories. So how do we use data from things like Inside View? I'm going to talk a bit about click dimensions and pulling all this information together to actually make a better selling experience. How can I actually present this information out to a mobile device? I'm actually going to present this out onto Resco to present what Resco would look like to an organisation. as a mobile solution. And I'll talk a little bit about that later, which I think really alleviates and increases productivity through its simplicity. Companies have adopted sales processes, increased by 19%. So just using standard business processes out of CRM can really help that process. And what this all actually relates to, and what I really want to talk through today and show some demonstration around, is what I sort of call as, for sales outcomes, always seeing people want to increase is productivity. How can I increase my productivity? So how can I do more appointments, close more opportunities? How can I be more mobile? How can I use CRM and be more mobile and actually get information when I need it, online, offline, any device I'm working on? Visibility, how can I give visibility back to the internal or to my team members? And what insights can I take from my CRM to help me do a better job? So when I talk about sales productivity, I'm talking about calling on the right customers. So how can we use CRM to do call planning? And I'll show you a very simple way of doing call planning in dynamic CRM, just using workflows and some fields on the form. Collaboration, using tools like Yammer or activity feeds could really help collaboration across marketing and sales. On the marketing side, I'm doing a campaign, Yammer that out or put it on an activity feed to get people aware of the messages that you're presenting out there. Enter information in once, access anyway, visualize some information. Consistency, so have a business process which everyone understands is very clear to flow through. And streamline communications. So this is really about how can I use tools like maybe Click Dimensions to actually automate messages going out to customers. Maybe they're asking for information which every customer always asks for, so I can just automate that message back to them so that I can carry on and be more productive on other things rather than writing the same email I write 10 times over each and every time. So what I'm going to do after each of these sort of things is go in and show you some features which you might be able to utilize to increase these areas. I might sit down. Right, so I'm going to switch into CRM. So first of all, is one of the things which I went to a really interesting presentation the other day from Westpac, and what Westpac told me was that they were able to work out the next best step for anybody who is a customer of theirs or potentially has filled in some information on an online form, because they're capturing in their CRM and in their systems every single interaction that you're performing with them, and obviously they know all your financial situation as well. So basically, if you go onto their website, you sign in, you go onto the mortgage calculator, you type in what you think you've got as your down payment and what percentage you like looking for, that's all being stored in the system, and that might well generate a next best action that, depending on the channel you go in, if you go into the actual Westpac branch and you see someone, they might start asking questions. Are you looking to refinance? Are you looking to buy a new holiday house or buy a house? Because they know the information that you've entered in there. They know what potential budget you got, what interest rate. So it's generating a next best action for them to actually start, driving that conversation along. So that got me thinking from a CRM perspective, how can I get CRM to tell a salesperson the next best action? So I'm starting to try to think how I can do this. And one way I'm looking at is actually using what I call traffic lights. So one of the simple things I was thinking when I was speaking to one of my sales guys, and I'm just going to use for whatever reason, is Bunnings. Is anyone from Bunnings here? No, good. Don't ask me why I'm using Bunnings. I don't know. It's maybe because I'm watching The Block or something and I keep seeing Bunnings. So, and they're an Australian company as well, so I thought that would be good when I went over to Sydney early in the week to do Dynamics Day over there. So what we've used on other projects is a traffic light system. And my salesperson, Ken, anyone knows Ken, called it account love. How much love am I giving an account? So how can I get CRM maybe to present up to me that maybe you're not giving this account enough love, it's amber, so you should be going out and giving them another call or having an appointment with them, having a meeting with them. And using CRM and using CRM 2015 and calculate field and roll-up fields, we'll be able to generate based on the number of phone calls, the number of opportunities or the number of cases, based on the category of the customer. Are they traffic light green? You're contacting them enough, you're giving them enough comms. Are they amber or are they red? So, clicking on this will, can flick it through and the system can automatically update a very simple little traffic light. We use this for Microsoft in one of their projects about the quality of data and where they're at within the buying cycle to give that little indicator back to a salesperson about, it's all about visual cues. They're red, so red means I need to do something with this account and actually deal with it. So a good little way of actually visualizing anything, and we could use traffic lights to indicate maybe how complete the record is from data perspective. So if it's red, it means you still need to fill in more information. When it gets up to green, then you've got a good level of data. So you can use the traffic lights to really visualize information out, and I think salespeople work in a very visual way, a lot of ones I deal with anyway. So that's sort of one way. The other way is actually looking at call plans. How I simply integrate call plans in CRM is, an account might have a category, and the category might define how regularly you need to contact that particular customer. And I always put in CRM a last visit date and a next visit date. Now, I don't want CRM generating an appointment per se for the person, but I want it to at least generate a task to tell them in the future, you should be looking at booking an appointment with this customer now. So if I've got my dashboard, I can say, what are the activities I need to do this month around call planning? So all I've done here is have a workflow in the system which looks at the category, looks at basically at the moment appointments. This could work off phone calls as well. And when I complete the appointment record, I can capture my objectives and my action points out of it. But basically when I close that appointment, it's going to basically update in the system automatically my last visit date, update the potential next visit date, and create an activity against the account to say you now need to be dealing with this particular account. So I go back to Bunnings. We see, hopefully the workflow might take a little bit to do. So we'll see eventually come through in a minute the last visit date get updated, the next visit date get updated. But what this allows me to do then, activities, there we go. So the data will update when I refresh the screen, so it's not a real-time workflow. But it's created an activity in the future date now, which means I can have a view in my account to say, show me all accounts where a call plan activity is due in the next 14 days. This gives a prompt to the salesperson they need to be booking an appointment, but because we're capturing the last visit date and next visit date, it means we can also look at neglected accounts. So how many accounts is the next visit date in the past? And then we can start presenting information about neglected accounts. Again, that can feed up to my sort of traffic light way. So a very easy way of doing call plans, just using workflows and standard out-of-the-box fields in CRM. The other one is around sales processes, so having structured sales processes. CRM 2013 supports business processes, which really help to drive a person down the right step of activities they need to complete the process. But the business process alone, I don't think, per se, delivers everything that you need. So it tells me what the required steps are and what the core information I need to capture. But I like always capturing things, and these are standard out-of-the-box fields. What's the current situation? What's the customer need? What's the proposed solution? What's our competitor summary? So it's focusing the salesperson on capturing these key pieces of information so that a sales manager can walk through the opportunities with them and see their positioning and see the value without having to put things into reports. Equally, capturing some key dates if there's, you work in RFPs or EOIs or expression of interest, etc. And in the opportunity planning area, recording things like who are my stakeholders. Again, all this is standard out of the box, nothing special, but helps to focus the salesperson on what information they need to capture. So who's the sales team? Who are my competitors? But one thing that I often get asked by salespeople, I want to be able to quickly create activities in the system to remind me to do something. So we can do, again, using workflows. This field's locked at the moment, but I can say I need to follow up on this opportunity next week. And notice this field now becomes enabled. I can tick it, hit save, and this is just going to fire a workflow in the background to create myself an activity. So the salesperson hasn't got to do it themselves. Yeah? So again, it's just really simple little ways to make them more productive. If they were doing this on a mobile tablet, putting a date tick in the box would create an activity for them. So rather than having to go new activity, type the details, hit save, it's just doing it all for them. Simple little things like that really can save a lot of time and effort. You see I've not been working on this, I should probably complete some. Yammer, Yammer can be integrated into Dynamics CRM, so I can, put Yammer posts out to all company. Anyone who's got Yammer access can go in there and respond to that and write a reply, and that information is going to be visible against my opportunity. but equally it's going to be visible in my Yammer. So if users who don't have access to CRM will still see my post regarding opportunities from CRM. So if I'm asking a question of product management, which say don't have access to CRM, they can still respond back with an answer, and it will still show up inside my CRM opportunity for that opportunity itself. I wasn't going to go into Yammer, but I might if I have time later. And then the other, so that's sort of the, call planning, visual, sales processes, so I can see that, required steps, and I can move it through the process very easy and see what I next need to complete. With 2015, obviously I can have branching business processes as well. But one of the other areas which I see really done well by some organisations is, for example, say Click Dimensions. They use their own feature very well, which is if you get in contact with Click Dimensions and ask for some information, they just have a whole bunch of sales literature which they select, which automatically sends you out a standard email personalised from the account manager and to you with the details that you requested, so the person doesn't have to enter the same email each and every time or go and find that last email they sent to someone and change it. So using Click Dimensions and CRM, I can simply go down to a field I've got called Quick Sales Literature, select one. So I'm just going to do a dynamic CRM online trial, hit save, and what that's going to do is fire a workflow and send an email personalised from me being the account owner for this particular customer, and send it with my signature embedded, so it looks like it's from my normal Outlook. It looks like it's coming from anyone, but it's being tracked by Click Dimensions, which now means that if the person opens the email, clicks the link, I'm going to start tracking and seeing that they're engaging with me. If they're engaging with me, that might mean they move on to the next part of the process. They're qualified. I can now start engaging at the next level. So, I'm not going to, you'll see the email pop through in a bit, but this is the email which will come through to me. It looks like it's from Intergen. It's got the proper Intergen footer and everything. My name, my job title, my phone numbers, all coming through from my user record, so I can have a standardized template and it's personalized based on who's sending the email automatically by Click Dimensions with the same content, so it's consistency of my process. And back in CRM under the contact, scrolling across, I can look at sent emails and look at all those emails that I've sent. You can see I've sent this one a few times now, but I can see, that I opened this one 24 times, click the link once, and all of those. So that can then prompt me and actually inform me or notify me that they've engaged, and therefore I now need to move on to the next step. It could even send them another email communication based on them clicking the link or filling something on the web page. So that's a bit of sales productivity. So streamlining how you capture information, making it simple, structured business process, structured sales process really helps to, I think, increase productivity. But next bit, moving on to mobility, I think can take that to the next level. So when I talk about sales mobility, I'm talking again about, I really think mobility is a productivity enabler. You still need all the standard processes of your CRM to support it, but being mobile can really enable you to enter information there and then with the customer or outside of the customer location. It should be able to really deliver online and offline. And the real key functionality about a mobility solution is not delivering your CRM in its full extent onto the mobile client. It's about removing the clutter. So remove the clutter of what the salesperson doesn't need to see to just what they need to see. So all they have to fill in is the objectives, the action points of the appointment, or change the status of the opportunity. Keep it really simple, and be able to record key activities. Now, for this, I'm actually going to use Resco. So I'm just going to switch this back on again, and I'm going to use an iPad. Why not? We've got to embrace this using Windows or iPads or Androids now at Microsoft. So, oh yeah, that looks okay. So what you're seeing here is Resco on an iPad. It works exactly. I can show you on my Windows device as well, but it's more fun showing it on an iPad just because we can. But the great thing about Resco is that it works online, offline. You can choose when to sync data. You can even track where the person is by the GPS if you wanted to. So if you're working in an environment where you need to know where your people are, then you can track it and have visual record of where that person is. Or you could just be tracking them for the sake of it, I suppose. See if they're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. But one of the great things I like about it is, I'm going to start on maps. At the moment, you can see, I don't even see in the top menu, it's showing me my appointments this week and my appointments next week. So as I scroll out, we'll start seeing some more grey. I don't know if I've got any yellow appearing on here. Maybe not on this one. I can click on, I can see what my appointments are, who they are, what time it is, and visualize those on the map. And how I visualize this on the map is simply by knowing the longitude and latitude line of my account record, and then I can pretty much put anything onto a map in Resco. I just flow those two fields down to any record, and I can put it on a map. So I can put opportunities, leads, pretty much anything. But what's really nice about this is, now we're going to see a lot of blue dots here because I'm a bad salesperson. I could potentially present my neglected accounts now. Because I'm capturing my next visit date in CRM, I know all those accounts which the next visit dates in the past, I can now put onto the map as well. So by doing that, I'm going to see lots of blue dots appear, hopefully. There we go. And I can see my appointment. So what this tells me as a salesperson, immediately making it visual, if I finish that appointment early or if that person wasn't available, who should I be going to see next because they're neglected? I could just pop in and say, hey, you've got some time, or give them a call in advance. Clicking on the blue dot will show details about who they are, their revenue, whatever field you want to show on there. So really easy way of visualizing information on a map. So I can show different pin colors, different pin colors based on the type or level of the account, whatever it is, but it's really visual. I could go into my calendar and look at my items in the calendar. Clicking on an item will pull information up about what that is, what my objectives are, what my action points are, and I can fill those in. So I can easily create a new activity. If I wanted to create a new appointment, I just hit the plus. And I can start filling in the information. If it's today at 3 p.m, then I can just hit the box and it's going to automatically populate that, so I don't have to select the time. It knows what time it is, and therefore it can start populating those sort of times. I'm not going to do that. Equally, if I go into the people area, what Resco does, it can actually combine all people records onto one thing. I don't know why I got one day tracked in there. I must have hit track on one day at one point, but it can show my accounts, my contacts, my leads, all on one screen. So when I do a search, and again, I'm going to just use my Bunnings, it can go across and find all of those records. And I can click on the drop-down arrow, and it will show me all related records at the same time. So without me having to drill into Bunnings, I can instantly see who the contacts are, what are the appointments, what are the opportunities against Bunnings, and what are all the different activities that I need to potentially be doing with them. And if I wanted to drill in and look at the record, I just tap on it, pull it out, and I can start visualizing the information. So all on one screen now, within a mobile solution, I'm seeing all the contacts, all the activities, opportunities, my map, so I can navigate to this. So if I click navigate to, I'll get driving directions to this. I can see my quotes, I can see my orders, I see my opportunities. And I can even see SharePoint documents, so I can also connect Resco out of the box to my SharePoint libraries and present SharePoint documents onto the mobile device. And down the right-hand side, I've got all my normal address, and I can click phone and make a phone call. If this was on an iPhone or a Windows phone, then it also has the feature of call import. So if I've made some recent phone calls, I can go call import, and it will show me all my recent phone calls. I tap on them and track them. The next release of Resco is also going to embed an email engine into the tool, so I can track my email, just like I have used Windows Mail or Mail on here. I can actually track my emails from within that. So it becomes a one single point of sales tool. I can do my CRM, my emails, and everything else within it. But some nice features it's got, if I open up a quote, is it's got ability to do signatures. Oh, God. Maybe I need to use my pen or something. Or not on this iPad. Oh well. If I go hit add a note, maybe on a bigger screen. Okay, oh yeah, there we go. oh God, not very good with my finger, but you can do a signature on there. Equally though, I could add other types of activities and capture photos, video, add files to it. Anything I want, I can engage with the tool if it's got available to me. Another nice thing on this is I can also print reports. So if I'm using standard SSRS reports to generate a quote, then this is an iPad, remember? I can just go and call to the server now and generate a report for me for this particular quote and present out a quote on the screen as well, which if I had a device, I could print it or get the customer to sign there and then, or email this to the customer. So very, very fully functional sort of tool for enabling productivity for a salesperson using a mobile device. And works the same way on a Windows, an iPad, and Android. No middleware, so I just go to the App Store, download, type my URL, my CRM, type it in, it will start synchronizing with my CRM. So pretty nifty little tool. I think that's all I wanted to show on that. So happy to talk any more conversations if anyone's got any interest around that after this. But it's a very, very powerful tool. How much does it cost? So there's two options. You can buy a subscription model, so buy user per month, and that's $20 US a month, or you can buy a one-off figure at $299 US, and then $60 for the service maintenance every other year, every year after your first year. So I think it's a very, very cheap price. For some customers, this can be the single tool a salesperson used to work with sales. They don't necessarily need to go into a browser. In theory, they could do everything from the tablet.
But you still need to purchase Microsoft.
You still have to purchase Dynamic CRM because it backends on Dynamic. Without Dynamic CRM, it's nothing. Yeah, it needs Dynamic CRM. That's where it's storing all the data. Yeah. So a very affordable solution for delivering mobility. Why I choose this and not the out-of-the-box CRM one is because it doesn't really go offline, and you can't configure it really very well. So it gives a starting point for some organizations, but I think when you want to get to the next level, you need to move up and look at an add-on at the moment. How am I doing for time? Right, so what I want to move on to now is sales visibility. So again, when I talk about visibility, I'm talking about better forecast, ease of use, using dashboards, visual cues. So how can I visualize my information that I'm capturing? How can I be more consistent? So enter my data once and report multiple times. So, if I'm creating an appointment, I'm creating my objectives, and I'm updating my action points. How can I work through my sales manager on the screen or through Excel or whatever without having to duplicate that information to another system? Is this useful? Is this? Yeah. So, first of all, I'm just talking, some simple sort of dashboards. If people are using Dynamics CRM 2011 and above, I'm sure you're using dashboards. Some of the dashboards might not be here, manager's dashboard. You can have different levels of dashboards. So showing this sales board, showing a leaderboard. My data's a bit out of date now, I need to update it, but my visits by owner. So based on those visit activities being created, I can put on a map, maybe if I expand it, how people are performing against their activities, so I can actually present those appointments or those call activities out from a sales management perspective and see who do I need to focus on, who's not doing enough appointments that week or anything, and present those nicely on a map. And I can see everyone but me is doing a really bad job. Well, I'm not doing particularly good either, really. I can see my goals, but I also can look at maybe views showing some of my team members' call plan activities for the next 7 days. So I can be looking who hasn't yet completed their task for booking appointment with their customers, so I can start visualizing that out. From a salesperson perspective, I could be more specific to the sales. So what are my top opportunities? What's my pipeline? What are sort of the Yammer conversations going on that I might be interested in? What are my open campaign leads I need to be focusing on? What's my active accounts? My activities due in the next 7 days. So really focusing the mind on what they need to be doing now and then. All these dashboards can be presented out onto the mobile device as well. So simple using dashboards. And if I'm in the service area, then I might have a service dashboard. My service dashboard might show me what are my cases, what activities do I need to do, what cases are available to work on. what's my team performance doing at the moment. So this is all standard out-of-the-box features, which not all customers are taking advantage of in really presenting good dashboards for their customers for their users to actually work with. I'm just going to show you a free add-on there's a free and a paid version of it, which I think is just a great add-on for Dynamic CRM. It's called Timeline. I'm a very visual person. So one of the things I get when I work with CRM is get a long list of activities, and it's hard for me to work out, I have to sort them or filter them, visualize, actually, when did I actually do those activities? How do those activities reflect to my opportunities or the cases around there? So what this add-on does, it actually visualizes out all my activities on my account and puts them onto a Facebook timeline. So I can look at my timeline, I can click and work through, and it's changing the information up on here, and I can expand and look at through the different records, click through, and it's going through my timeline. So it's presenting all my activities onto a really clear timeline. So it's really giving me, from a salesperson or a sales manager perspective, real visual into what am I actually working on, which opportunities, how many activities am I doing, and all those sort of things. A really good visualization tool. The paid version, this is a free version. The paid version allows me to not just look at it from an individual account, but actually put maybe all my sales teams' opportunities or appointments onto a timeline as well. So I can look at it from a team perspective. So I think that's a really good way of sort of visualizing those activities. And going back to that whole point around appointments, and I'm getting my salespeople to capture the objectives and the action points. How can I, work through them and make sure that they're doing what I like them to do without having to double key? So that could be just simply a view inside of CRM. So I go into my activities, and I go down to my appointments. And I've created a view which basically says my completed appointments last week. So this is now showing me on a view my objectives, my action points, all in one screen. So I could either work through this with my sales manager, or I could open up the first one and just start working through them. So this is what I was going to do. This is the action point. Using the down arrows at the top here takes me down through the records. Very quick and easy, create a simple view for each of my sales teams, and I can work through those activities and making sure what are the action points, what do we need to focus on, what are the follow-ups that I need to do with that particular customer without having to print it off, using the system to really drive that for me. And one of the other things that I don't think it was shown this morning, what Intergen produced, and has produced this for Microsoft actually, is what we call our Showcase app. So when I talk to sales team, and more is they're mobile, they've got mobile devices, and they want to be clever in the way they present information to their customers, and also not have to carry around lots of presentations or always download the latest one before they go out. They just want to know that when they go to this app, all the latest material for them to use is there and presented for them. So Showcase is something that we've developed, which works off SharePoint. So all the content stored in SharePoint, it works online and offline. You find your parameters for it, but it downloads, basically puts your sales collateral into a place where I can go and say, okay, I'm working with a particular customer. They're in the professional services, so I click into professional services, and it's now going to start talking about what our proposition or our offering within professional services is. Show me some featured resources, some featured work, some case studies that I might be able to go through and present with a customer. So let's have a look at what we did for Windows commercial team for Microsoft. So we built this, and I can present maybe just through flicking through some screens, talking to the customer about the things that we've done with them, or kick off into a YouTube video, or kick off into a PowerPoint presentation. And I can even, in the next week, update information in there, potentially to go back up to my CRM or to my other tools as well. I really, you might have heard these, we call it the Showcase, other people might call it the sales playbook. It's really just enabling the sales team to have all the content they need there and then to deliver a great story to the customer. Using your tablet-based devices. I do it myself. I might with a customer in a coffee room, and I can flick through it quite nicely and present all the information without lots of paper. And if they want it, I can send it to them afterwards. Or they can just go to the App Store and download it themselves and see a public-facing version of Showcase, which you've set up for your customers. But all the data and all the documents are stored in SharePoint. So it's easy to manage and maintain. an update. So it's a great little tool. You know, we've done it for numerous Microsoft entities around the different data. So, yeah. And it works online and offline. Okay, how am I doing for time? I actually have no idea. Right, so the last area what I want to go into is sales insights. So you're capturing all this information in CRM. How can I use maybe external sources to help me discover more about my particular customers? So it was mentioned this morning about inside view. So dynamic CRM, if you're using CRM online, probably in the CRM 2015 release for this region, will provide you what they call social insights for free. That's an inside view product which just can be embedded inside your dynamics. Inside view allows you, basically has sources from about 50 million data sources, uses the Hoover, I think Dun & Bradstreet data, and basically you type your account in. If it finds it's that account name on its system, then it will pull back all the information it knows about that account, what people work there, what industry, what news articles is about it, and maybe also how people in your organization are actually connected to it. But then also, if you're using products like Click Dimensions, you can use that to track, you know, what are your people looking at on your website. So if they've clicked from an email, what do they then go and look on the website? And if they download or request a PDF, then automatically, you know, inform the salesperson to make a follow-up with them. Similar things to what Salesforce does. You know, I'm sure if anyone's gone to the Salesforce website and downloaded anything, you get a phone call within a minute of that. Because they're using tools like this to automate those processes. And it's certainly what we've built for Microsoft Azure. So if you do go on Microsoft Azure and request a free trial, you'll be going through a system that Intergen built for Microsoft, which basically captures all your details and immediately starts within a few minutes. You'll probably receive an email or a phone call from them about that trial that you're doing in the same sort of process. So I want to show you a few things here around inside view, web analysis, and also social listings. I'll show you a bit of what Microsoft social listening does for you as well. Okay. Yeah. So again, I'm using my nice little Bunnings here. So here's my Bunnings account record. You know, if I scroll down, we see this area is called Insights. What's being shown here is inside view. So Inside View has found this company, and as a result of finding that company, it shows me a number of insights it's found from the web, from looking at news articles, blogs, pretty much there's over 50 million sort of sources it goes and looks at and trials around, looking for what they call agents. Agents are things like research and development, anything about job changes, anything about acquisitions or new offerings. It will go and look for those keywords and those statements. If it finds them, it will start grouping them back and presenting them back to a user. So from a salesperson's perspective, it becomes, rather than going off and doing Google searches or Bing searches, trying to find the information on news sources, it pulls all that information into one place and allows them to quickly go see, I can see that there's a new offering, acquisitions, that sales chemicals, whatever, expanding operations. So I can click in and look at that information or share that information. If I hover over, it's going to give me sort of a brief sort of summary of that. I can also click on people, and this will present back all the people inside view knows. Or not, as my connectivity goes. Let's see if the refresh works. Otherwise, you just have to take my word for it. You know, always with CRM, you know, online demos, real life. Is it going to show? Oh, there we go. I moved it from that room into here. We went from wired and back through Wi-Fi back to wired. So what this is actually showing me here now is that it knows a number of people in the organization. And I can look at their details. It's got phone numbers, email addresses, which is really useful. And if I don't know who they are, I can click the sync button. And this will do a lookup into my CRM and say, does this contact exist already in my system? If it doesn't, do I want to create a new lead or contact for them? or do I want to update their details? Takes a couple of seconds. It's connecting off to Singapore. But it really saves me time having to rekey this information in or update my record. There we go. So it's not. So it's Insights Guide. It's found no matching leads or contacts. So create a new contact. Continue. So this is now creating a CRM record in my database against Bunnings Limited with Peter Davies information attached. So I now can immediately start start having conversations, start doing things with that knowledge of that record. So that's now being created. Equally with click dimensions, I can also look at what I really like is, I don't know why they're called Windows coverings, and look at industry information. So if this is a known industry, so click dimensions stores information on a number of industries, it could start presenting the salesperson really usefully. So this is an industry I haven't worked in before. I can look at the different challenges that industry, what trends that industry might be having, what some of the call prep questions I should maybe asking this industry when I go out there, so it can prompt me for some key questions I should be asking, and also what's sort of the size and structure of that market, what does it look like? Really giving the salesperson, if it's a new industry they haven't focused on before, some really great insights about starting an intelligent conversation off with them without having to go elsewhere to do the research. So it's pulling it, again, all inside CRM, really adding a lot of value to the organisation. Family tree, I can look at the family tree and other information about them. So really great tool. I can also create watch lists in there, so I can watch certain organisations. If I'm got top 10 key accounts, I can watch them and look for any leadership changes or whatever, or buyouts or whatever it might be, and utilise that information to drive more greater sales. So this is free with CRM. So a great tool, I think, to really bolster information about the customers that you're working with. What I want to go into is social listening. So this is social listening. This is not the social engagement one. We haven't been released that for the TAP program yet, so we're still waiting for that to be for us to have a play with. But this is social listening. So social listening is, with 2015, available for on-premise and online customers. I can embed my social listening into dashboards, into CRM, and onto account records or opportunity records or campaign records. So if I was doing a particular campaign, maybe Dynamics Day, and I wanted to display all the content and all the conversations being had about Dynamics Day on my campaign, then I could embed my social listening charts into that around the specific keyword, Dynamics Day, Intergen, whatever it might be. So what I can see here immediately is basically all my search topics and the conversation which is being had by different channels. So blogs, Facebook, Twitter, RSS feeds, and then look down the individual sort of history of those different things it's been following. So this here is giving me sentiment. So sentiment is how well is the brand or my keyword being taken by the market, the people looking at it, people posting about it. Is it positive? Is it negative? Is it neutral? If I'm using this to monitor my competitors, I might be seeing, is there any negativity about their brand? Is there anything I can help to sell more of my brands? My brand's more positive than theirs is. Or if I'm doing a certain campaign, looking at, am I getting a positive reaction to my campaign or a more negative reaction, and maybe work out why that is. I can look at different search topics. So I'm going to flick into campaigns. And it's going to reload. And hopefully this will bring up Dynamics Day. I think I've popped in there. I only started recording Dynamics Day a couple of days ago. So this is basically showing me all the tweets, so 37 tweets for today around Dynamics. So I can click on here and change the date period. So I can look at the campaign, the information. If I want to drill in and look at the details of the post, I can just click on here, and this is going to bring up all the posts which has been captured. So I then can look at individuals, whether they're negative or positive posts. And if they're negative, depending on what we call reach in social listening, will depend whether I may actually engage there and then with them or just listen. So this symbol here is what's called reach. Reach is a good term in social lists, in social fears. A reach of 1 is talking about a person who doesn't have many followers, that if they post something, then you might just listen to them. You might not actually very much respond because they haven't got much influence. So you responding to them might spark more than it's really worth it. Where if someone's got a reach of 5, then they've got a lot of followers, they've got a lot of influence, and therefore if they're saying something about your brand, then you need to really think carefully how you respond or not respond to their particular comments that they're making. So this little symbol reach here really shows me which ones I should focus on. I can see here that I've got a pretty good reach, so that's good. So it's capturing my tweets from today as well. And it's also highlighting on the line how it's working out the sentiment. So it's rated sales, it's about, as being a positive statement. This is the words, this is how it's found it and put it into this search. So if for whatever reason I felt this was a negative, I can change this and say, well, actually that's a negative statement. And actually manually go through and change them if I wanted it. Or if something was saying negative, but actually I think it's more positive, then I could change that as well. I can change that or filter back on that. And I can go through and look at sources. So what are all the different sources of my conversation? It's Twitter at the moment, and look at that data. Again, look at who the top 5 authors are within that. Again, it might help me to focus my mind on who I should be working with and trying to influence. So with next version of social listening, it's going to create engagement, which means I can click on these records and convert them into contacts or leads, or create cases as a result of those conversations and start responding to them through CRM, and start managing them through CRM. Setting this up is pretty easy. I just go into settings and I define what I'm actually want to be monitoring. So if I go through and look for my Dynamics Day one, we can see that the query I'm using is looking for anything with hashtag Dynamics Day, Team Intergen, Dynamics Day, different versions of the word, spelling, whatever, to try and follow it. I can define whether it must include a certain phrase to be included in my report, or exclude it if it includes something, a certain word that I want to exclude those posts from. And I can say whether to look at, the whole post paragraph or just a sentence, and what sources and languages do I want it to apply to. And then I can test my, if I change it, I can then test it and see how many responses that's going to make. So, pretty good for listening to conversations, listening to what maybe people were saying about the customers, my key accounts brands. So I could use this to maybe help influence a conversation if I'm going to speak to a company. By the way, I saw some recent posts about you doing X, Y, and Z. How do you feel about that? Or how's that particular industry impact, this particular thing in your industry impacting you? Because I've seen some posts about it. So, help to drive a better conversation. And finally, from an insights perspective, is using tools like click dimensions to potentially present information, what's bearing on what people are looking at or how they're interacting with you. If I just go into a contact record, I don't know why I use Shane Foster. So if I go in here, then what we can do, because we're using Click Dimensions. So Click Dimensions is a marketing add-on for Dynamics CRM, and it's basically a solution. 1 minute, right? I'll stop. Basically, what we do is we can present web behavior. So I can present to a salesperson maybe what was the last web page that person looked at, when was the last time they visited the website, what are the top 10 things they've been looking at on our website. Immediately giving a salesperson insight into, well, maybe when I next go out and speak to them, I need to speak to them about Dynamics AX because they'll be looking at Dynamics AX case studies and the ERP pages. Or that I need to talk to them about SharePoint because they're looking about SharePoint. It just gives a little bit of insight which might be able to start another conversation up with them. I have to move on to my last slide. So what we're looking at doing is that, like I said at the start, every time I meet with salespeople, we have the same conversation. I already know their pain. before they've said it. I can expect it's going to be, it's manual, it's spreadsheets, it's no mobility, no CRM. If it's a CRM, it's too much information, too much clutter. So what we're looking at doing is actually putting together a sales accelerator. Some of the things I've talked about there already embedded in to give you that sort of starting point. Looking at using click dimensions and maybe and Resco as part of that solution to really just get a Salesforce up and running very quickly with some really positive impacts. And we're looking to do this sort of early next year with sort of the latest releases. And don't forget, I was told by Microsoft, really this is actually really very, very good. If you're not using Office 365, if you're not using CRM Online or just using one or the other, this is a really good price. To buy all this independently, you're well over $100, $150 probably, combining all this into one. So a real big saving here to really enable up and running pretty much instantly from anywhere. So Dynamics CRM, Online Professional, with Office 365, with Power BI. If you have more than 10 professional CRM licenses, you get social listening for free as well into that price. So you can use social listening for free as well. So, yeah. That's it. Hopefully that was useful and you got some value out of that, things you could be looking at and doing.